So tonight's going to be more on the relaxing side. Traditionally, I just like to do something a little more chill at the week before Christmas because I feel like everyone's got a million things they have to do to get ready and get done. And so I want to keep it a little more relaxing. So make sure you have some blankets for tonight, set of blocks. If you have something that resembles a bolster, have that. If you have a real bolster, of course, bring that in. And I think that's all we need. We're gonna put one blanket down on the mat and we're gonna take another blanket and make a tri-fold. So if you don't have a yoga blanket, it might not work as well, but you can even fold like a flat bed pillow in half instead of using the tri-fold blanket. So let me show you guys what I mean. Okay, so you have a yoga blanket if you have one of those. And this is how I call like the neutral. It's like how most people have their blankets in a pile, especially at yoga studios. And we're gonna take that and make a tri-fold. So it's almost like an accordion fold. So you go over 1/3 and then back 1/3, and then you'll smooth it out. And then it's kind of like a long, narrow, almost like a bolster. So if you don't have yoga blanket, they might not stay together so well because other types of blankets are more slippery. So then I would say take a bed pillow and fold it in half instead, okay? Yep. All right, so get that ready. Any questions about that? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute and I'll head back and we'll get started. Okay, and like I said, feel free to unmute if you want to ask the question at any time. Okay, so we're going to take this blanket, or if you have the folded pillow, it's going to go underneath your spine. And then some of you are going to want like some kind of blanket or a pillow for at the top for your head. So we'll sit in front of it. And then as we do when we come into any kind of reclined back bending kind of position, you want to take your tailbone and just scoot it a little forward because then your lower back will feel more length as you come down. And then center that blanket or a folded pillow underneath the center of your spine. Then find something for under your head. Legs can be any position. So maybe feet flat, maybe legs out. Or maybe you want to do bound angle, feet together, knees apart. If you do the bound angle, feel free to give yourself some support under your knees if you like. And we're going to begin here. So I'm coming up, let you guys get settled. So our practice tonight is called a blanket of relaxation. So you know how you feel when you have your favorite blanket over you and it's very cozy and gives you a little bit of sense of security and weight. But also the inspiration for this practice tonight came from a little talk I was listening to with one of the teachers I follow on his podcast, and he was talking about snowfall. So I'll share this little story with you as you get settled. So he was talking about a blanket of snow and how when the snowfall happens, the world kind of gets blanketed in white, and how that is very soothing for our mind and our eyes and our senses, because normally when we look out, we see lots of different things, different colors, different shapes. But when our little neighborhood is blanketed with snow, it creates this like white palette. And when we look out, it's just very peaceful, right? So we're going to use that as a metaphor tonight. So I'd like you to bring to mind a white palette in your mind's eye. So as you close your eyes and get relaxed, Let the mind become that white blank palette. And let your awareness rest on that white palette. And then just take a nice soft breath. Let the breath be really gentle in your belly. So we go outside and there's this blanket of snow, which looks very peaceful. And then usually also it's quieter when it's snowing, right? There's less travel, there's less cars and sounds outside, and it just has this peaceful, calming effect. So let yourself feel like you have this blanket of relaxation on top of you. And if you want, you could even literally cover up with something. Sometimes when we're in these face up positions, it feels more secure to have something covering, especially maybe your belly or your hips. And then with that visual of the white canvas in your mind, I'd like you to choose a word. And this could be a word that you want to use for your practice tonight. Maybe a word that resonates with you, something you want to cultivate in your practice or invite into your practice tonight. Or we're also heading into a new year, so maybe you want to choose a word that is something you want to invite in for the new year. So I'll give you a few examples, but certainly choose something that resonates with you. So maybe it's the word peace or happiness, health, vitality, calm. So think about a word that resonates with you, what you'd maybe like to cultivate in your practice or invite into your life, and start to see that word on your white canvas of your mind. So picture that word. Notice the shape of the word, and we'll keep that word in mind as we practice tonight. Okay. So we're going to stay up on the blanket, and we're going to do a couple of different moves here. Feel free to change your feet, legs at any time. We're going to go ahead and roll the head to the right. And then roll your head to the left. So just keep it nice and gentle. Rolling the head from side to side. And let's do one more round. We'll come back to the center, and then take your arms and cross them over your chest. Like we've done lots of times before, we'll come into the bear hug. And then with your arms crossed over your chest, go ahead and rock right to left. And as you rock, you'll just maybe hang off that blanket just a little bit. And let that blanket massage your upper back area and your lower back. And then let's go ahead and just switch the arms, opposite arm on the top, and take a couple more rocks side to side. So we're going to be incorporating blankets into a lot of our poses tonight, using the blankets in different ways. Last round here, and then come back to the center. Relax your arms down by your side. And then as you inhale, sweep the arms overhead like the snow angel and reach the arms up. And then exhale, slide the arms back down. So you might want to make sure there's no props right alongside your body. And then do a few rounds. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And exhale, release the arms down. And just one more of those. All right, go ahead and pause with the arms relaxed. Take a breath. And then we're going to roll to the side and come on up, and we'll come into a seated posture. So we're going to go ahead and sit up on something if you prefer. You can also sit right on the ground. And then we're going to grab one of our blankets. And we're going to literally wrap ourselves up in a blanket tonight. So take your blanket, wrap it around your shoulders, and we'll get nice and cozy. There we go. Okay. So staying here, be on the tops of your sit bones, lengthen up through your spine, the crown of your head. And then from here, drop your chin to your chest and make a semicircle with your head. So go right to left. Again, just stretching out through the neck. And you could continue with the semicircle, or if it feels good, go all the way around. And then at some point, if you're doing a full circle, reverse and go the other direction. One more circle. And then come back to the center. Okay, let's bring the feet together. So we're in that bound angle shape. You're going to keep your blanket over your shoulders. Okay, we'll take an inhale here. And as you exhale, go ahead and fold. And you can let that blanket make you into a little bit of a cocoon and just fold inward any amount into your bound angle. Now, if this bothers your knees at all, feel free to stick your blocks or a couple pillows underneath your knees so you have a little extra support. Let's take 2 more breaths. And as we come into some of these poses that we're holding, see if you could come back to that white palette in your mind and your word for tonight. So you can focus on that. And otherwise, our minds tend to get busy and caught up in all the things that we have to get done. And we want to let this be a little respite from all the busyness of the holiday season. Give yourself this time to be with your breath and relax. Okay, let's go ahead and slowly start to come up. Use your hands, draw your knees up. And then from here, we're going to come around into child's pose. And you're going to keep your blanket for now. Keep it over your shoulders and come down into child's pose. So you're sitting back on your heels, knees are bent. And of course, if you're too warm, feel free to ditch your blanket, but keep it if you like. And we'll take about 5 breaths in child's pose. And while you're there, let your body start to surrender down into the ground. So we can be like that snowfall, coming down, landing in this moment, and letting yourself release. That sense of surrender, a sense of just letting go of all your efforts, and continuing a nice soft breath. Let's take 2 more breaths where you are. And then slowly start to bring yourself back up. You can set your blanket off to the side. Now, if you only have that one blanket, we are going to need to refold it then, but we'll do that later. Let's come into all fours and we'll do our cat-cows. So come into kneeling position, spread out through your palms, And then take an inhale, look up, arch your back. And exhale, round your spine. And then we'll continue on your own a few more rounds. Take your time, go slowly. Might want to focus on nice long exhalations. And we'll take one more round. And then once again, go ahead and come back into your child's pose. Okay, so from here, we're gonna go ahead and take the blanket off of the mat. So clear your mat. And then if you just have that one blanket, we're gonna refold it. So make it nice and neat. If you have more than one, and you can just leave one of them be, that's fine. But I figure some of you guys maybe just have the one. So make sure you get all the bumps out of it and fold it back up till it's in that neutral that I call like how we come off the pile like this. And then just set that off to the side. And then we'll go ahead and come into a downward facing dog pose from here when you're done with your blanket folding. So take your time and find your way into down dog. And then feel free if you want to hang out on your dog, pedal it out, bend one knee, then the other. Maybe release your head a bit, shake it out. And then go ahead, walk your feet forward, top of the mat, and come into halfway lift. And as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. So we'll go through a couple rounds of sun salutations. Just keep it nice and relaxed. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, soft bend in your knees, fold forward. Come into halfway lift. And we'll step back to a high plank. Top of a push-up. And feel free to drop your knees, keeping a little more relaxed. Slowly lower down. Reach back through your legs, your toes, and inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take an inhale in your dog. And as you exhale, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And hands to heart. Good. So we're going to go through again. This next round, we're going to hold our dog. And we're going to try and find a more relaxed dog, if you will. So let's inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Step back, high plank. Can keep those knees up or drop them down, lower all the way. Inhale, cobra pose, shoulders back. Exhale, down dog. Hold your dog. Now, if holding the dog is too much, feel free to come to a tabletop. Now, stay here in your dog. Let your chin come in a little bit. Look back towards your toes. And let your back of your neck feel nice and free. Take a slight bend in your knees. And let your sit bones tip up. And now stay here Coming into a soft breath. Then let the mind be quiet like that white palette. Almost feel like you're emptying out the contents of your head here. Let your head release toward the floor. One more breath. And then when you're ready, go ahead, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach it up. And hands to heart. Let's go through one more round. We're gonna hold that dog again. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Step back, high plank. Good, go ahead, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, hold your downward facing dog. Staying there. Soft bend in your knees, roll your sit bones up nice and high. And then chin comes in just a little bit. Lengthen your neck. And find a soft breath. And see if maybe, even though you're working hard in this pose, holding yourself up, can you find a sense of shavasana in your face? So let your face be really relaxed. We need the arms to work here. We need the legs to work, but we don't need our face to work. So relax your face. Okay, take an inhale, exhale, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And hands to your heart. Good. Okay, we're gonna grab our blanket and our blocks. So first get your blocks and set them in front of you at the top of your mat. I'm gonna face you guys instead of to the side. Then we're gonna grab our blanket. Okay, so you're gonna take your blanket and roll the top edge down so that maybe you have 3 or 4 inches at the top. It's a little extra fold. Widen your feet about outer hips distance apart so you have more stability. And we're gonna take that blanket down to where your hip creases are, like where your pants kind of bunch up. And we're gonna press it in there. And as you inhale, lift your belly up as if you're gonna lift your navel up over the blanket, like a leapfrog. And then bend your knees and we're gonna fold. Press the blanket into your hip creases and bring your hands to your blocks. Okay, now you might feel that compression in your belly, deepening your hip creases. Take an inhale. And if you like, exhale, fold further. Maybe bring your hands to the floor. Now, staying up higher is going to feel less intense in the belly. Coming down lower is going to be more pressure. But it's good, gives a little massage to those lower abdominal organs, strengthens our diaphragm, feels a little bit of deepening in our hip creases here. Take one more breath. And then bend the knees and slowly come up. Hold on to your blanket and breathe. And just notice now a little easier to breathe once we take that blanket out. Okay, now we're gonna put the blanket on the floor and we're gonna roll it up. Put the seam on the bottom and press it down, smooth it out. And we're gonna put our heels up on the blanket and suddenly you're a little taller. It's like you're wearing some high heel shoes. Again, keep your feet a generous hips distance apart because as you fold and your feet are close together, you're gonna feel like a tightrope. So if you keep your feet a little wider, you're gonna feel more stable. So already we have this lift in the back chain. So our hamstrings, our sit bones, everything's kind of lifted up. So when we fold forward, there's going to be a little bit more of a stretch. So bend the knees a little bit, hinge at your hip creases, and bring your hands back to your blocks. And now already noticing there's a little bit of a lift in your sit bones, more of a stretch in your hamstrings. But if you want more, you're going to fold over your legs. Maybe bring those hands all the way to the floor. If that's too much, stay halfway up. And you got to balance here. Those heels lifted. Let the back of the neck be free. Let's take another breath cycle. Stay relaxed through your face. And then hands back up on the blocks. Step off of the blanket. And inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, we're going to do the opposite. So now we're going to stand with the balls of the feet up on the blanket. Generous hips distance. And so now the deeper stretch is going to go lower in the legs. So you're going to get more into your plantar fascia, the back of your calves, your Achilles tendons are going to get a little bit more of a stretch. So just standing here might be enough. Otherwise, you're hinging at your hips and you're bringing your hands to your blocks. And place those blocks under your shoulders. You might stay right here, or again, you might lower all the way down. Press your feet down into the blanket, into the floor, and let your face be nice and relaxed. Take 2 more soft breaths. After that second breath, bring your hands back up on your blocks, step off of your blanket, and come all the way up. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Very good. Okay, set that blanket off to the side. We're going to open it up to the neutral again and just set it over to the side. We are going to do a little lunge work, so if you need padding under your knees, we are going to use one blanket over our leg, and you might need a separate one for under your knees, okay, or a pillow or something. Put your blocks back at the top of the mat if they're not there. And let's meet in mountain pose at the top of the mat. Okay. So first round, we're only going to need one blanket. Eventually, we're going to need 2. Okay. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Halfway lift, inhale. Step back, plank pose. Feel free to drop those knees lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, reach your right leg straight up behind you. And we're going to step that foot through to a lunge. Now, if it's hard for you to step through, you can always go dog to knees and then step that foot through. Okay, so that's always an option. Now grab your blocks, place them under your shoulders, and you can feel free to pad that back knee if you want. Okay, staying here, holding for a breath or 2. Come back to that feeling of the white palette in your mind and your word. Find a sense of savasana in your face. Last breath here. Okay, from here we're going to start to straighten your front leg. So move your blocks back a little bit. Straighten your front leg. You're in a half split. Okay, you might stay here being more upright. Try not to jam your front knee. Or you could lower your blocks or lose your blocks and fold over that leg. And then again, find that soft breath. And you find a sense of Shavasana in your face. Your face be soft, your breath soft. One more breath. Now, some of you are going to stay right here. Some of you are going to sit back on your heels. So we've done this before in this series. So this is a little more challenging. We're getting a nice stretch in that back quadricep. Now, if that's too much for you, you're going to stay in the half split and not sit back. Hold there, one more breath. You're sitting on the left heel. And then start to walk yourself forward, whichever pose you were in. Come back up on your blocks. Lift your back knee. Good. Inhale here. And as you exhale, straighten your front leg. Come into pyramid pose. So we're in modified pyramid. The back heel is up. So normally in this pose, the back heel is down, but we're modifying. And then stay here in the halfway up shape or fold over that front leg. So we did all that standing on the blanket to warm up the backs of our legs, get things stretched out. You can stay here, or you can go a little deeper by turning your fingers toward the back of your mat and placing your palms flat. Now we're in a little more of a challenging pose, especially for that front hamstring, but can you find that sense of staying relaxed in the pose? What would it feel like to bring a little sense of shavasana into this pose? Maybe it's your face, but maybe it goes beyond the face. Okay, rebend into that front knee, come back up on your blocks. We're gonna spin the back heel down. And then cartwheel your arms up and we're coming into a warrior two position. So I'm gonna turn around so I'm not back to you guys. Okay. Warrior two. Soft gaze forward and let your eyes be soft. Let your shoulders soften away from your ears. Breathe softly. Maybe you'll find that sense of the white palette in the mind. And how can you make this pose a little more shavasana-like? Where could you soften? Now, some of the body is going to need to be working here, but things like our shoulders could stay relaxed. Things like our face could stay relaxed. And now inhale, straighten your front leg and come into triangle pose. So reach your bottom hand down to the floor, your ankle, or even a block. Top arm reaching up. Now to keep this a little more relaxed, let's turn our gaze down and look at the floor. So it's a little more grounded. And then where might you be able to soften? Can you find a little more ease in your arms and your shoulders? One more breath. And then from here, bend the knee, rise back up to a warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Okay, optional vinyasa. If you'd like to take one, you can go through plank, lower down, or you can just stay in your dog. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog when you're ready. And then we're going to bring that left foot forward into the lunge. So remember, you can always come to your knees and step that foot forward, or you can lift your leg and step it through. Have the back knee if you wish. And we're going to pause here in the lunge with your blocks under your hands. Take a few breaths. You might close your eyes, find a sense of going inward in this pose. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? One more breath here. Okay, so we're coming to the half split. So you might want to shift your blocks back, maybe shift your back knee back a little bit so you can straighten the front leg. Again, keep a micro bend in your front knee. And you can stay here or you can fold over your leg. So for me, I can just go ahead and lose the blocks, but it's up to you. Choose the pose version that best suits your practice tonight. So if you need to keep things a little more relaxed, please do so. Now, some of you are going to stay here holding the half split. Some of you are going to shift back and sit back onto your heel. You might fold forward a little bit there. Whichever version you chose, let's take 2 more breaths. And take your time. We're going to start to walk ourselves forward, come back up onto the blocks, and then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and we're in a lunge. Okay, from here, take an inhale and then straighten the front leg, coming into modified pyramid. Back heel can be up. Keep those hips kind of hugging the midline so we're not swaying to either side. And you can stay up here in this halfway up shape, or again, fold over your leg. Maybe you lose your blocks. Maybe you turn your palms to face the back of your mat and put the palms flat. Let your chin come in, back of the neck long, and breathe. The mind be quiet. Let the mind feel like that white palette. And then we're going to slowly start to rebend into the front knee. Come back up on your blocks. Spin your back heel down and cartwheel your arms up and come into a warrior 2. And then hold your warrior 2. The eyes be nice and soft, like you're looking out over that beautiful white scene of snow. And let the shoulders soften. Hold it here, another breath. And then on your next inhale, straighten your front leg, reach forward and down, come into triangle pose. You can use a block under your hand. You can bring your hand to your ankle or shin. Top arm reaches up. And now let's go ahead and look down at your big toe or the floor. And see if maybe you can soften a bit through your arms, through your neck, and through your face. Legs are working here, but we can find some softness in the upper body. On your next inhale, rise back up to your warrior 2. And then cartwheel your hands down, step it back, down dog. Optional vinyasa or optional child's pose. You can also stay in your down dog. And we'll meet back in down dog. If you're in child's pose, we're going to come back to lunge with the right foot forward. So again, your choices are reach the right leg up and step it through, or put your knees down and step through. It's going to be a little more gentle. And come into your lunge, find your blocks. Okay, we're going to need to reach for the blanket. So wherever you put it, we're going to pick it up and we're going to drape it over our front thigh. Yeah, so it's a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of weight, but also it gives you a little bit of height on top of your thigh. And then tuck it into the hip crease, lift your belly up, and then fold and put your belly on the thigh in the blanket and put your hands back on your blocks. So it's going to be the same routine. We're not doing the whole routine, but similar. But now with the blanket, you get more connection of your belly on your thigh. Let's hold it here for another breath. And then we're going to start to straighten the front leg. And we're going to rebend. The rebend, inhale, look up. Exhale, straighten the front leg, move back. Now, can you keep your belly connected to the blanket and the thigh the whole time? Inhale forward. Exhale, shift back. And again, inhale forward. Exhale, shift back. Good. Inhale forward. And we're going to lift the back knee coming into that pyramid shape. Again, you have that belly to thigh connection. Inhale here. Exhale, straighten your front leg, trying to keep your belly on your thigh. And repeat. Inhale, bend the knee. If you want to, you can lower your blocks. Exhale, straighten the front leg. 2 more like this. Inhale, bend. Exhale, fold in. 1 more time. Now we're going to stay in the straight leg position. You can stay halfway up, or you could fold over the leg, let your belly drape over that blanket. Maybe your hands come to the floor. Take a couple breaths. Feel that pressure of the blanket. Relax your face. Okay, go ahead and rebend into the front knee. Drop down onto the back knee. Slide your blanket out. Step your front foot back. And come into child's pose. And I'd like you to notice that right side where the blanket was in your belly. What does it feel like? Maybe after all that pressure, you feel a little different on that side. Sometimes it's a little easier to breathe. Sometimes you feel just a change in the tissue. Last breath, and we'll do that blanket sequence on the other side. Okay. So 2 choices. You can step through from tabletop or come to dog and reach the left leg up. Step it through. Come down onto your back knee and come up onto your blocks. Grab your blanket. Drape it over your left thigh. Get all the way up in your hip crease and tuck it in. Good. And then hands back to blocks. See if you can have a feeling of your belly connecting to your blanket and your thigh. And then we'll inhale here in this position and then exhale, straighten the front leg and repeat. Bend the knee, inhale, maybe look up. Exhale, shift back and keep that belly to thigh connection the whole time. Go ahead and continue forward and back 2 more rounds. And then stay with the bent knee after this next round. Adjust your blocks if you need to. We're going to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Okay, same thing. Inhale, reach your chest forward. Exhale, straighten the front leg. And maybe you want to lower your blocks depending on your body here. Bend on the inhale. Straighten on the exhale. 2 more rounds. Just be really mindful of almost like you're on a track here. So don't let your hips kind of sway out to the side. Track your knee in line with your toes. And now straighten the leg and stay there. Maybe you're in the halfway up shape. Maybe you're going to drape your belly over the blanket and thigh. Maybe you lose your blocks and come down. Then breathe against the resistance of that blanket. Also is massaging the abdominal organs on the right side. We had our ascending colon, and here we have descending on the left. Okay, go ahead and rebend into your front knee, drop it down, step back, you take your blanket out, child's pose. And take a couple of breaths there. One more breath. Okay, so go ahead, we're going to come on up into a seated posture. We're going to take the right leg out to the side. Now, left leg, I'm going to give you some options. You can take the knee out to the side, and some of you might want to have something under that knee. So that's one option. A little more challenging is going to be to fold the leg back. So now my knee is bent like when you're kneeling, and the foot's coming back behind. So my foot's either in front, this is probably more accessible for most people, or you're going to fold that leg back, okay? All right, from here, we're going to turn toward your straight leg, and hopefully you have your blocks within reach. Take your blocks on either side of that leg. And then if you have a bolster or some thick pillows, put that on top of that blocks. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So whichever version this leg is in, this is going to prepare the second version here for something else we're going to do. But some of you might not be able to do this. If you have any knee stuff going on, you're going to skip this version. Turn toward that straight leg and then bring your hands onto your bolster. You might be up higher with your elbows on the bolster and rest your head on your thumbs, or some of you can rest your head down. And we're going to take 5 breaths here. Back to your white palette in your mind, your special word. And relax into it. Imagine this blanket of relaxation come over your body. Okay, very slowly start to come up. And we'll take a twist toward the opposite side, toward your bent leg side. Inhale, lift up, exhale, and turn. Next inhale, unwind back to the center, and we'll straighten out that leg. Okay, so we're gonna switch the props to the other side. So now left leg's got the shelf. Right leg is either gonna bring the foot in front or bring that leg back behind you, or like a kneeling position. But keep it nice and wide, and then turn towards your straight leg, and you're gonna fold and either be up on your elbows or be down, resting your head down. These poses where we give something for our head to rest on can be really calming. And that sense of surrendering your weight downward, like a heavy quality. It's winter officially now, winter solstice today. Energy of nature goes down deep into the ground. And that energy going into the ground helps replenish, helps store up energy for your new cycle of growth in the spring. So let your body sink into the earth. It's like you're dissolving, surrendering, letting go. Last breath. And then very slowly start to make your way up, and we'll twist over toward the opposite side, toward your right side. Inhale, lift up tall, exhale, little turn, and find that softness in your face. Softness in your belly. Okay, slowly unwind back to the center and set your props off to the side. And straighten out both legs. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a challenge tonight. Some of you are gonna go into this next version of a pose. Some of you are gonna modify. So we're gonna come back to our tri-fold blanket. So take your blanket and fold it up into that tri-fold again and put it behind you on your mat and put a pillow at the top again. It's like we started, but now we're gonna change it up and it's gonna be a little more challenging. Keep your bolster nearby. Some of you might need more support here, more height. Some of you are gonna be able to come down flatter. Okay, so now we're gonna sit on our heels for a moment. Now I know some of us, this is challenging, so if you cannot sit on your heels, grab a block or two, make yourself a little tower and lift your hips up a little higher. So if you can, you could sit right on your heels. And already that's kind of going to be a big stretch for your quadriceps and the tops of your thighs. If this bothers your knees, lift yourself higher. And if you still can't get comfortable, sit cross legs and just don't do anything that's going to damage your knees. Okay, next stage, we're going to take the right leg straight out. And you're going to sit on the inside of your left foot. Okay, and again, you might need to be up on your blocks to do this. And some of you are going to stay right there. Okay, if you can, you're off your blocks and you're sitting down, one leg bent, one leg straight, and your blanket is still behind you. So we're coming into a pose that's called Supta Virasana, and we're doing a half Supta Virasana. So from here, you could lean back on your hands. And if you want to go further, you're going to lower yourself down. So your spine is supported by that blanket and your head is on the pillow. Now, this is pretty tough. If you want to go more middle of the road, you might try more height. So you could stick your bolster behind you if you have a bolster, and then you're not going to go down as far. And the quad stretch is going to be less intense, okay? So you're either sitting up, just like this, and you're sitting on a block. Maybe that's your pose for today. Those of you who can are coming back in any version you like, and you'll get that nice stretch across your quadricep. Breathe here. Some of you might want to take a blanket and put it over your torso. So I don't have a blanket nearby, but maybe you can put a bolster here to cover up. So feel free to add a blanket if you prefer. And we're just going to take 2 more breaths here before we change sides. So important to stretch our quads because in yoga, we stretch our hamstrings a lot, but we don't stretch our quads, and then we get imbalanced, and that can really affect our knees. Okay, from here, prop yourself back up. Lean to one side, straighten the one leg, and now both legs are straight. Give your knees a little bounce, a little shake, maybe a little rub down, and we'll try our other side. Okay, so we're going to bend the other knee back. And you're either going to stay here, you're going to prop up onto a block and stay there. And if none of these feel good, you can't even do this, then you can just sit in a cross-leg position or a bound ankle position and do a forward fold instead. You won't be stretching your quads, but you also won't be hurting your knees, so that's important. Okay, those of you who can, you're going to start to shift back. So you can just lean back on your hands. That might be where you stay. You want to go further, scoot your tailbone a little forward and come back. And you might need to build yourself up higher than I am. So you might need more blankets. You might need more pillows. So you're halfway down, or maybe you're all the way down. And we stretch the top of that quadricep. So this is a tough pose. See if you could find that sense of softness while you're there. Can you find a sense of relaxation? If we're struggling, if there's, intensity of a burning feeling, you're not going to be able to find that sense of relaxing. So better to back out of the pose and take a more modified version than to try and get the full pose. Last couple breaths. And then we'll slowly start to prop ourselves back up and straighten that leg. From here, you're going to take that blanket that's trifold and we're going to put it under our knees. Legs are straight. And then sit on something else. So maybe it's a pillow, maybe it's another blanket. And widen the legs about inner mat's distance. So not as wide, quite as wide as your mat, maybe just inside, okay? Then from here, reach down and pull your sit bones back and a little apart. Doing that will help you be able to fold forward easier. If your sit bones are kind of tucked under, you're not going to be able to fold. So you got to get those sit bones out. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, go ahead and fold any amount. If you'd rather stay upright, feel free to stay upright. And then come into your soft breath, let your chin come down, lengthen your neck. Breathe deeply into your belly. See your white palette in your mind. And let your body land here. So you're sinking downward into the ground like snow falling downward. And with every breath cycle, maybe you're sinking down a little more. Remember, whenever we do these poses like this, we don't want to force anything. More of a sense of allowing, a sense of the body inviting you to go a little deeper. But don't push, strive, or effort, because then we can hurt ourselves. I want you to be soft about it and really kind to your body in this forward fold. We're going to take 3 more breaths. And after your 3rd breath, very slowly start to bring yourself up. Very good. Okay. So we're going to come down onto our backs now. We're going to keep all those props nearby. We'll need them in a little bit for your Shavasana. Not just yet, but a few more minutes. Okay. So just come down. Maybe you want a blanket or pillow under your head. And then let's go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. And rock a little bit side to side. Okay, we'll set the feet down. We'll come into spinal twist. Take your right leg over your left leg. Scoot your hips to the right. Drop your knees to the left. Maybe you want to bring your bolster or pillow in under your legs so you have a little support. Take your arms out to a T. And then surrender into this pose. Letting your body land, letting your body drop. Just imagine the snowfall. And as you exhale, just be like that snowflake melting into the ground. And although we're getting close to Shavasana, we're not there yet. But maybe you could start to find a sense of it in this pose. You let go of any effort in your arms and your legs. Let your head be heavy. Let's take one more breath. And then very slowly starting to return back to center, even yourself out. If you were using a prop, you could move it to your other side. You wanted something for under your legs. Left leg crosses on top. Scoot your hips a little to the left and then bring your legs over to the right, support or not. And then arms out to a T. So with that addition of the prop, it does make it a little easier to kind of relax into it. And won't be quite as much strain through your lower back with the props. Soft belly breath. And you might notice the moment when you land. So if I'm not paying attention, sometimes my body still has this like sense of being held away from the floor, just a little bit of tension. But if I pay attention, I might be able to let everything go more deeply. But it's a conscious choice to do so. You let your eyes soften, the corners of your eyes soften. The eyes themselves get soft like gel. Let the eyes be like gel rather than solid. Okay, take an inhale, exhale back to the center, even yourself out. And then let's go ahead and hug the knees in once again. Rock a little bit, circle it out, whatever feels good. If you want, you can come into happy baby, holding the feet or the ankles. So decide on any finishing postures that might feel good. And then take your time and you're going to come into Shavasana. I do recommend tonight, since we're talking about a blanket of relaxation over us, maybe you want to pile some blankets on top of you. Maybe if you have a weighted blanket nearby, you want to use that. Or just a couple of your general blankets. Maybe you want to fold it in half so it's a little heavier. Maybe something under your head or under your knees. Just take your time to get settled. All right, so once you arrive in Shavasana, see if you might be able to make any last minute adjustments so your body can be still. Let the eyes softly close and start to come into your belly breath, very soft in your belly. Just take your time. Once you feel like you're very settled, bring to mind that snowfall. Maybe visualize the snow falling, maybe outside. Maybe you could hear what it sounds like when the snow hits the ground. It's that very soft sound. And any thought that arises on your white palette that's not your word, just imagine that word falling down like a snowflake and melting into the ground. So one by one, we empty the mind and let those thoughts subside. And as you take your next exhale, let your body softly land and dissolve. As if your body could be absorbed into the ground like that melting snowflake. Let the mind continue to empty, be calm and open, spacious in your mind. Letting go of all effort in your body. Just like we did in the twist, could you be aware of perhaps you're holding yourself away from the floor in some way, and let go even more. Let your breath get softer and softer and more quiet and gentle. Your breath is the most delicate, soft thing in your belly. And we'll take a couple more minutes continuing to rest. All right, we're going to start to return now. And just take a moment, notice the effects of your practice. Take some time to deepen your breath and move slowly, fingers, toes. And eventually, take some bigger movement before coming on to your side. And we'll take a little pause on your side. Eventually, go ahead and come on up into a seat once again. And if you like, you can wrap your blanket around you. We'll sit for a couple minutes. You could also put your blanket across your lap Take your time. And then go ahead and once again close the eyes or find a soft focal point. And imagine yourself in a big snow globe. So the snow shaken up all around you. Let's take an inhale, and as you exhale, imagine all of the contents of that snow globe starting to settle downward. Keep the spine tall, but let everything else soften over that prop of the spine. So in that snow globe, every inhale, keep the spine tall. And then exhale, soften. It's like your face sliding down, shoulders, arms, thoughts, releasing downward. If there's a heaviness at the bottom, at the base, through your hips, your legs, the pelvis, and there's a lightness in the upper body and in the head. Remembering your word on your white palette in your mind. And let's go ahead and bring palms together. We'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, bow into your heart. Namaste.